Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host to Stop Taking Our Children, Fighting CPS. CPS is the child protection system that I call CPS. It's a government entity that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Further, they're supposed to help out with the need of food and shelter and clothing, transportation, and education and medical, and also to find a job. And if they need to take your children, you're supposed to do family reunification. Bring the family back together because the best parents are the children's parents. Now, I want to warmly welcome you all. I had a little bit of trouble tonight getting into this room. I don't know what happened to the showtime, but I came on about a half hour before, and all I found was my one that said Fight CPS Bob Pace, and I knew that was this morning, but that was the only one I could find. And I went out and in several times, but I got it. It seems like every step of the way, it's very frustrating with this experience. Now, I do have from the stage, but I'll put myself back again. Boy, felt like I have a black cloud over my head. Grace, if you hear me, I left you some questions which I typed in earlier, and also I typed in this morning, and then about a half hour early I typed them, and I've typed them again. So hopefully you'll see the questions and answers. Grace is my producer, and I want to give her a really round appreciation of thanks. She helps produce this podcast and makes it possible. And my prayers have been with her because she's, her dad is quite ill, and I want her dad to get better. So she's very important to me because she handles the today affairs of my podcast. And I want to thank her very, very much. Now, there are 4 ways you can, oh boy. I think what's happened is my mouse is either oversensitive, it's putting things on the screen, which I didn't even know why that put up there. There are 7 rooms that we're connected to that round up people when they type into Facebook and they look for me. They look for Fight with CPS, and then my name pops up. And as I say, it's one of these 7 rooms that most people come in. Like one room is here, the reality series, and CPS, the horror stories. Another room is the law offices of Vincent W. Davis Associates. Another room is Talk with Mrs. G. Another room is Vincent Davis' room, The Secret How to Fight CPS and Win. Another room is a juvenile dependency, child protection. And then my room, Fight with CPS Bob Pace. That's my room. And then we have another room here, Relatives Fight CPS, Fight CPS Stop Taking Our Children. And then we have the YouTube room, which is CPS Defense Strategies. So you go directly to YouTube and find me, but Facebook's the best way to go, Fighting CPS. Now, the comments that you be texting to me will show up. If you typed in YouTube, they'll show up in Facebook. So we had a little bug there, but we got that fixed. So now there are 4 ways to interact with this podcast. The first way is just being in this room. The second way is to text me messages. A third way is to be a special guest on the show. And a fourth way is I put up my phone number and you can call in. So with those 4 ways, I'll get a little bit more detail. Again, the first room is you found me, you're in there, you can take notes and listen. Also, you can do emojis such as thumbs up, smiley faces, hearts. If you like what you hear, you can send me stars. And then also please check below if you want to follow my podcast. And also if you want to know when it's going to be on, hit the notification button so you're notified every time I go live. I'm here in this room to really help you. I know you're desperately need this help because no one's born with what CPS are, how bad they are, how corrupt they are. They're not very transparent. I didn't say all CPS is bad, but over the 500 some people I've talked to, and it seems like daily for the last, almost a year now. It's been a year since I have been podcasting, and shows twice a day, 7 days a week. I'm on, Monday through Sunday, and I'm on at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. And then I'm on again at 7 p.m., 1 hour Pacific Standard Time in the evening. And that's twice a day. And the only exception is on Sunday, I come on earlier at 8 o'clock in the morning. And because I go to church and church is important to me, I want to be there. So my show time on Sunday is at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Also on Friday Night Lights, I have the high school football with my son. So I go to the game at 7 o'clock on Friday nights. So I usually am on at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I don't know the exact time, but I'll let you know as soon as I find out. Furthermore, as you notice when you listen to the Mr. Davis's message about his Zoom podcast on Saturday with questions and answers and strategize with CPS and so forth, that's on at 10 o'clock, which is the same time as my Saturday show. So I've asked my producer if maybe I should do that earlier, like at 9 or 8 o'clock, to give Mr. Davis all the attention he wants with his podcast. So I've had several questions go in to my producer, Grace. Now, a second way to interact with this podcast is to, as I mentioned to you, is to text a message. Maybe you want to say something or you want to make a comment about something, you have a question, and it should pertain to CPS. We want everything to deal with the child protection system, something related to that. All I ask you is to show your first name, your city or your county, and your state. That means city or county and your state. I'm trying to see where the pockets of good and bad CPS are. So that should be good there. I also have countries that comment in this room, that have come in this room. This broadcast is broadcast around the world. Anybody that has internet can type in comments or listen to me. And I welcome them all because they all have problems too, and they need help. They need help. So I do welcome that. I've had so far from Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, and then I've had up north the Middle East. I've had an Arabic country. I don't know. It's all in Arabic, and I couldn't decipher what the Arabic country was. And then Africa, I've had several countries in Africa. I had Liberia in the northwest coast of Africa, then Rwanda at the central east area of Africa near Lake Victoria, and then I've had Mozambique, which is on the east coast above South Africa, opposite the Madagascar Islands. And then in South Africa, I've had the West Coast province there. Then across up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, which is part of the United Kingdom. And then I've had Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, North America, I've had several of the British provinces, both on the east and the west coast. And then I've had all the 50 states that have either called in or texted in, and all their woes and all their stories and so forth. And I've even talked to some from Washington, D.C., so I have really a good representation of people. And then I go south the border to Mexico, and I've had Mexico. Actually, they called in from Mexico City, and they were trying to locate their daughters in Louisiana. And then I've had a country in South Africa called Grenada. They're on the coast, and they're opposite Venezuela to the east, and north of Brazil to the east. So they're on the east coast. And then across the pond, I've had Australia, and I had the land down under the Gold Coast of Australia, the east side. And then I've had the south coast in the Melbourne area in the state of escapes my mind right now. Anyway, it's on the west coast and state of Victoria. There it was. I was trying to think what it was. It was the state of Victoria. So that is the way that you can actually submit your comments. And I also ask you to be complete with your comments. Like show about your CPS case, so I don't have to do a lot of back and forth ping pong ball. Meaning that all you need to do is tell me your makeup of your family structure. Are you a husband, wife? Are you boyfriend, girlfriend? Are you lovers? Are you a partnership? And then are both parents involved with the kids? Are you a single parent? Are the different parents of the children different than the biological parents? So they're different parents there. And then the ages of the children, the sex of the children, and then how were your children taken? Did you give them? Did they come to your house to take them? How were your children apprehended if they were? And then where you at on your case? Where you're at on your case? That's really important too. Where you at on your case? Now, a third way to deal with is the guest. I mentioned the guest earlier, and that's something that Grace will help you with. All you need to do is email Grace, and it's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com, and she will give you the link to get on the program. I used Steam Yard as my application on YouTube. And so they'll give you a link. If you happen to lose it, don't worry. I mean, if you get knocked off, use that same link again. It's still good. It's still good. So you just email Grace@vincentwdavis.com with one of your dates. Like, I want to be Bob's Monday morning show, or Bob's Wednesday evening show, or Bob's Thursday morning show. So you just tell her the show time, morning or evening, and Monday through Sunday, one of those days. And that's all you have to do. And then she'll send you that link. She'll also help you what to do on the podcast. Things like no smoking or eating during the podcast. And we don't use children's names. We don't use the judges' names or the social workers' names. The rest is great because then you'll be next to me. I can take up 9 of you. I can have a total of 10 people, including myself, but I can have 9 separate cases. So that sounds really good. So I'm glad to have that. Now, the last way to interact with this podcast is to call in. Now, my phone is on, meaning I've already opened the phone line, so it does not ring. You got to speak up loud when you call in, and hopefully I'll hear you on that. But I am live. Let me double check here again. Yeah, I am live, so I can take calls. And my phone number is 563 999 3480. That's 563 999 3480. Mm. Um, so if any of you want to call in, feel free to do so. Also, text in your comments or contact um, Ruth, my show producer, to be on the show as a guest. Another nice thing about calling in or being a guest on my show, it'll get you a chance to have a free 15-minute private consultation with Vincent Davis. If you are a guest on my show, all I will need is your name, your email, and your phone number. And I will have my show producers set up a 15-minute one-on-one private consultation with Mr. Davis. And then right now, I have a website you go to. It's set on the ticket at the bottom of my screen right now. And it says that if you want to book a discounted Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for up to 30 minutes, he will only charge you $60. So all you do is you go to https://candly, CALENDLY.com/apps, APPS, and then you type in VWD, and then /Bob Pace. And then you book your meeting with him. And so anytime you call into my office, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. When you talk to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's really important that you use my name on that because everything I made with the special arrangements with Mr. Davis. And so we're here to help you. Mr. Davis is. Now, if you don't know what kind of an attorney he is, he's been practicing law for 35 years fighting CPS. He's a trial attorney, and he knows how to fight. In fact, he's done civil lawsuits, both in federal and state courts, and went back lots of money. So he's prepared to fight your case, too, and you can discuss that with him. He has a retainer, and that's something you could talk to him, too, about. And because he is the perfect attorney to defend you, because why do you need an attorney? Well, if you know anything about open heart surgery, you need a doctor. And that's the same thing goes for the child protection system. In open heart surgery, you're going to get a doctor that is trained in school in medicine, that has passed a exam, got a license, done an internship, and then has a mentor before they start working on you. So that's what you need with CPS. You need to really be very careful of them because they're tricksters, and they'll end up messing you all up, and you're not going to like it. Sometimes I have my guest and let's see what they're doing right now. Right now, it seems like we have a couple people in the room, but I don't hear from my regulars. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Um, I have two regular people. I have Faye from Richmond, Kentucky, and I'm hoping that she'll join us. I also have Natalie from West Hollywood, California. Also, we heard from, we have someone just came in, Layla Adams. Do you consult on tribal civil rights issues concerning the Indian child welfare? You're talking about ICWA. Uh, I I do know a lot about the ICWA Act of 1978. I also know about the um, First Nation people in Canada about their N ICWA Act. They have a different one than the United States Indians do. What is your question, Layla? And what Indian tribe are you a member of? And what city and state or county and state are you calling from? Now, Layla just brought up a tribal. Um, Now, I have been familiar with the Lakota Sioux of the Rosebud Reservation, and then the Cherokee of Oklahoma, the Cherokee Reservation in Oklahoma, and several of the Indian tribes. We have talked about the ICWA Act of 1978. It's the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's posed to help out American Indian children being reunited with their families, because what has happened for 150 years up until 1978, the child protection system would take the child and never do reunification with the family. And so it took them from the 1875, when they started putting them on reservations, to 1978 to get an act together that basically tells that the child protection system is supposed to ask anybody if they have American Indian blood in them. And usually most tribes require about 25% of a bloodline to be considered American Indian. They were the first immigrants to our country. And so this act was passed to force the child protection to ask the parents about the children if they have any blood and if they're registered or could be registered. There's 548 federal registered tribes in the United States. So you could be a part of that. What it means is that when they investigate, they put your kid back with the reservation, and the reservation in turns will do a family reunification. And it's better for Indian children to be with the reservation than right now in foster care, where they're abused and adopted away. It's been so sad. That history of our country has been really bad there. Layla, I'm so glad that you called in. I still don't know what Indian tribe, where you locate your city or state or your county and state. If you could help me, that would be great. Anybody else with any other questions? Because I'm going to talk a little about Cora, which is an application which talks about a question in CPS, and then there's also answers. So it's kind of interesting, and it's very informative if it can be there. So let me pull that up. Okay, this is from Cora, and this is a question, and it says, what happens if a child lies to Child Protection Services? Now, this was answered by whatever, who has study experience in life. Anyway, they didn't really identify themselves. They said one of two things. One, Children do not lie because they've been told by their abusers that they need to protect their abusers' jobs, homes, families, reputation, etc. And this can and does lead to make a child feel like they have to lie. Lying to protect their abusers will not stop the abuse. It may abate it for a minute, but it'll continue, and this is one of the reasons abused children die. 2. Lying to CPS because a parent insists you unload the dishwasher or grounds you for a ditch in school can lead to a legal nightmare for innocent parents and a foster home or a juvie for the lying kid if a trusted family member can't take the kid. Is it worth it? BTW, both these things really happened to my friend's brother and a relative of mine. Well, you should never lie to CPS. You should never get CPS involved because they're corrupt. They're corrupt. All you have to do is look at the ladies that were social workers in Prescott, Arizona. Prescott, Arizona is a small town. It's known for the Billy Jack movies. They're all filmed there. There's also Indian reservations there. Anyway, in Prescott, there was a CPS office. They call their office Department of Children's Services, DCS. But for all purposes, I call everything CPS. So this office had 8 social workers, and all 8 of them decided to get a pink T-shirt. Now, pink is noted for breast cancer awareness and so forth. And so they got these pink T-shirts, but the message on the front read, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, parents, do you know where your children are at? And this is a message they did when they walked around in Walmart, Kmart, Target, Best Buys, all the big department stores. So they finally were caught and they were, expelled from their job, meaning that they were terminated, including the director. So you had 9 people that got fired, and 8 of them had over 25 years together of social service. That left the department with only 1 person left to protect all the children and so forth. So it was a double-edged sword that it was hurting everything. They were hurting other people by parading around, but they also hurt any other children being protected or anything. So I want you to know that these social workers are not to be trusted, and they're very corrupt, and they do retaliate. They'll build you up and let you down. They'll build you up and let you down. All you have to do is think about those 8 female pink ladies parading around, destroying other parents. That's their mentality. They think they're professional child kidnappers or, that's what they think of the public. That's their attitude. And it's wrong. It is totally, totally wrong. Now, I have 5 rules I've come up with. And myself, I was, involved in CPS. I'm a family man. Been married twice. My first marriage was 10 years. My second marriage has been 32 years. So I've been 42 years as a family man. And I had a child, my first wife. And then I had 3 children with my second wife. And she had 2 children she brought in the fold. So together, we had 6 children. That was our family. And that's how important it was. But little beknownst to me that in 2010, when I was 60 years old, I lost my job through no fault of myself. And I was faced with the fact that I'd have to cut corners because I had mortgage payment to pay because I had a beautiful home. And it was hard because not only did I have to deal with this and trying to get hired on because they think I'm too old like a dinosaur, then I had to deal with the constant harassment by CPS. The Orange County CPS would call me weekly because they'd receive a phone call from one of my relatives, my wife's mother and father, her 3 sisters, and her brother. would all, call and say what's going on or all this other stuff there. They weren't interested in us as a family. They didn't even come to our wedding. And one of them was even in California. I know most of them had to come from Ohio, but none of them came to the wedding. And they've always wanted our children, our three beautiful children. So they'd constantly harass me, and I'd have to answer the CPS. Nothing became of it. Nothing became of it. But one day in 2015, they had contacted the police, a detective who found where I pick up my kids, and then followed me, and then had me stopped by a black and white to alleged violation, which wasn't true, but he insisted that I need to come home right away. He made it sound like there was an emergency going on. He didn't say it was a fire or anything, but it was there. They go on there. Well, I went home reluctantly. I had my son who had just picked up from school, and he had to see all this. This is very unpleasant to a small child, especially with all the people in 2015 are in front of my yard. The 5 firemen, the 2 code enforcement, the 3 uniformed policemen, the detective, and the 3 social workers. And that's way too many, people there. And if I knew what I knew now, I would have had an attorney right away, that would fight on my behalf and work for me. So anyway, they searched my house and they were fishing. And what they found was they're going to charge neglect because my dad, had passed away. My mom, I was still taking care of her, but I had all their belongings. That's 55 years of belongings. So they thought I could endanger the kids. So they made me, it's a hard thing to talk about my case. I'm sorry, you guys, because I lost one of my daughters because of this. CPS actually lost my home, it's been hard these 15 years, twice a day talking about it. And I feel really hurting in my side, my heart, because I really care about all you listening and I want to help you. But you got to be smart about doing certain things. I was purely dumb. One of the first mistakes I made was not having an attorney and talking to them. You never want to talk to social workers. You never want to let them into your home. You have a neutral place. They can meet halfway between, your neutral place and their neutral place. Let's move on, because another case of social workers gone bad or rogue was my social worker in Orange County who didn't have a college degree, didn't have a high school diploma, and her only experience was, I guess, learning from a book or something about how to do CPS, because she did something awful. She was on the witness stand to testify how good the parents were that wanted to adopt our young daughter. Um, and there's some things that are kind of exaggerated. And so anyway, they fleshed it out, and sure enough, they were bad. And so I'm telling you, you have to be careful, because this social worker of ours committed perjury where she lied on the stand. And the question was asked by my attorney, Vincent Davis, what kind of parents are these parents that want to adopt Kirsten? Now she's talking about my wife's sister and her husband. And she said, oh, they're loving parents, okay. Then he asked her, was there any domestic violence? Oh, no domestic violence. Well, Mr. Davis pulled out a folder with about 30 reports that showed all kinds of domestic violence taking place. And so it was really, really hard, because she divorced you, she emancipate. Not only that, she changed her name to her adopted name. And I just really find it hard or imagine today they can do the same thing, but it does happen with all of you. I've heard it over and over again. It's a hard thing to deal with. And, having your child ripped away from you. Now, what she did, the social worker did, is that she was proven that she committed perjury on the witness stand. She was embarrassed and she left. But she told us parents she's going to retaliate. And what she did, she told our daughter that emancipate your parents and you're free of your parents. Get yourself name change complete. You're free of yourself. And get yourself a new social security card and a new ID number. And the whole thing, the whole bottom line was this was all a perjury. And I had every right to sue her after the case was closed, but I don't have money to somebody. I had to use all my money for my home sale to pay for Vince Davis. And I know they have to come up with money, when they do out of state, it's really hard for them. But I've been really proud of the Vikings and the appreciation of the three stripes. Oh boy. So anyway, this social worker went on to tell our daughter to get adopted, and she did. And of course, she changed her name, got rid of her first, middle, last name, and then she got a new birth certificate. She had her old birth certificate sealed and new social security number. So I'm telling you, social workers do retaliate. They do retaliate. I know firsthand that they do. So, so I just wanted to share a little bit part of that story. It's so hard for me at times. It's so hard for me at times. Now I know that some of you come in and out of the room and you heard the stories over and over, and I understand that. But it helps me if you would ask a question or call in, and so we can talk about topics. Now let's read another chorus question here and see if we can come up with another one here. Okay, here's one. Is it common for cases to automatically close at the Child Protection Services or the system? I'll tell you this, and this was answered by Emma, who is studying. She's been studying for 10 years of CPS after they took her two kids. It's sadly a common thing with these broken families, court systems, along with the help of all the lawyers involved with CPS, to close out a case whenever they feel like it. Because unlike many legal court systems, there's a jury and there's also no one that walks into the courtroom guilty. There is it and to proven guilty. That's true. All cases are, but child protection, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. However, within these family court systems, all of us are guilty until proven guilty. That is why you must stay strong, fight as hard as you can, get the get the best lawyer that you can, if you can afford one, uh, to be. That's in the important, but ever more importantly, record every single thing that happens with these people. And I mean that in sincerity. You got to take notes. You got to have a huge notebook, 11 by 7.5 with a 3-ring binder and your way of um, keeping track of all the records and so forth. Record everything. You'll need everything detailed in a form of proof. That recordings be tend to shred evidence, and as you go to stuck someone's that question didn't really turn out the way I thought it would go to turn in there. But let's move on to another question here. I have right now 15 minutes left. My phone number is still up there. You can call in if you want to talk on it, so forth there. So, um, okay. Let's see if we have another help here. Okay, here's another Cora Digest question. What factors can contribute to the length of a CPS case? Now, there was an answer made by Laurie, who's a former CPS case manager. Mostly how cooperative the client is working the case plan. If they can test clean at least part time during the initial 6 months, maintain regular visitations, and accept responsibility for changing to responsible behavior, then it's an excellent start. If they use the second 6 months to get clean and complete parenting classes, they can get their children back. They even can get 6 months of a social worker dropping in to check out the well being of the child. 18 months is the longest time you can have a CPS case is open. They petitioned the Superior Court for termination of parental rights. Yeah, that's a good answer. That was done by a social worker, but it's not necessarily always true. I found out that they will lie, they'll build you up, and then they will mess you up. They'll take you down. So I find that very disturbing. Very disturbing. Um, Now, here's another question by Cora. It says the question was, as a teacher, did you ever have to report a child to CPS and why? Well, a person named Moronita answered this. Uh, she says, I was never a teacher, but was mandated reporter and to report physical abuse of a 4-year-old. I felt bad because it was her father who abused her, but she was in custody of the mom. CPS took the child from the mom and placed her in foster care rather than making the father have supervised visits and allowing her to remain in her mother's care. They were not together. That's a shame. That was, I don't know if that's a good answer or not. Um, okay, now here's another one. Can CPS put me in a group home if I don't listen to my parents? I'm 15 and I don't agree with my parents, so I don't follow their stupid rules. CPS got called and mentioned to my parents that they are a group home for kids who don't listen. Now, this was answered by Jennifer, who works at automotive dealership. Here's what Jennifer said. Our daughter's friend thought she shouldn't have to follow her parents' house rules. Go to school, do a few household chores. There were 3 girls, so she didn't have that many chores, only a certain amount of time on the phone. No cell phones yet. Do her homework and just generally listen to her parents. She tried to get emancipated and wanted support from her parents, so she took the court. That didn't work so well for her. My husband had to testify, and the lawyers asked how often she was at our house or spent time with us. Well, we were big campers, so every time we went on a camping trip, our daughter asked if this girl could come with us. I called her parents because she was grounded due to her mouth or whatever reason, but she was always allowed to come. Parents explained the house rules, in bed by 10 on school nights, off the phone by night, 9 a.m., etc., that they're perfectly fine bedroom in the house. The judge said no to support. Took it for years, but I'm happy to say they're good friends again. Wow, that was interesting. Um, so we have now about 7 minutes left of the program, and I've read several things. I'm going to run through my rules real quick. Now, rule number 1 was get an attorney. I already told you that about Mr. Davis, and you really should think about him because he is the champion of fighting CPS, and he will get your kids back. He got my kids back. Rule number 2 is you keep notes of everything you're doing, like a notebook, and you want to stuff it full of notebook paper and dividers, and then put everything in there, like your court papers, anything you wrote down notes and stuff for, put in there. So you have one place for everything, not on post-it notes, not on envelopes, not on small sheets of paper, but an organized notebook with nice headings. Like one of the headings could be instant log. All the incidents that have happened, whether with the police, social services, or the kids, or the school, or the kids or themselves. So you put all the incidents, and that's really good because a year from now you're not going to remember everything. So it's a good way as record of stuff. So you just take a minute or two, and as I say, you identify who you are, and um, Um, so in that notebook, you put down the date, the time, and the location, and who was involved with the incident. The incident is like a timeline. You put it on a piece of paper and you record everything. Your first sentence, of course, is the date, the time, the location, and who was involved. The second one is the summary of what transpired. What was the incident? And the third is the outcome. And you may not know the outcome right away. You can come back later. So, and you have lots of tabs. You make all different kinds of tabs, and it will help pay off in the end. Um, that's a really good way of organizing your data and so forth there. Now, also in your notebook, you have your court papers. You want to divide that hole punch and put them in. Then you're going to have your certificates when you complete a parenting class or a program. You want to put those in there. Any drug test, drug screening, you need to put there. Any medical reports and so forth. You want everything in that one. Everything you want is right there. And so the notebook is number 2. Number 3, I talked about it. You don't let people in your home. Too many people have been shot point blank. Police don't care. They shoot first and kill first. And they don't care if you're pregnant or eat somebody small. Oh, boy. So you have really got to be careful of what you say. The best thing is not to talk to them. Tell them, get their name, see their ID, and you want to contact your you can say we can schedule this another time. Have them call you. Don't meet at the home. They're fishing all the time. You want to meet not at their office, but a neutral place like a Starbucks or a McDonald's. And you want to be really careful there and so forth. So rule number 3 is you say no to social workers. You don't let them in your home, and you don't give up your children. Now, if you give them permission or someone in your home gives them permission, then they can come in. Also, if you are any physical violence with your wife, hitting each other, they can intervene, or the police can intervene, and they'll get a restraining order from you both and each other till you figure it out. There's also, if you meet them outside, tell them you want to reschedule it with your attorney. Always mention you have an attorney. That will scare them off. So don't talk to them. Don't let them in your home, and do not give your children. There's one thing they can use, which is called a warrant. You got to be careful. It's a legal documentation where a policeman or a social worker's gone to court and requested a warrant that tells what they need to do. It should be a list of person that's charged with, the children that alleges from, and then it should also list the weapon that you're using, and you can fire back. You can fire back on that. So the last thing is medical trafficking. Be very careful when you take your son or daughter to the hospital, urgent care, or the emergency room, because there's lurking a social worker who would love to steal your child. It's not safe in the hospital. If you hear that they're a social worker, you ask them, a social worker of what? You know, they got to be very specific what they want. So it's a heads up roller coaster affair. Like a lot of people I say, it's like Alice in Wonderland. Alice has found a rabbit hole, fallen in it, and met the Chester cat who sends to room that mean nothing. So it is hard. It really is. It's a hard thing to swallow because they have a thing called medical trafficking, where if you're a woman getting your pregnancy, they're going to try to steal your child, especially if you had previous outcome with the child protection system. Now, the guy that you got to be careful. Think before you do a thing. And then my rule number 4 is you should Google everything you know about your case. Start off with your city. If your city is small, attach a second city. For example, you could say Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, and then you want to say CPS cases, and you could explain a little bit further. But you will find something. You will find something, and you have to do that. That's really important to do that. So with that being said, I have reached my time, and I need to say goodnight. I'm going to be on again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, and again that night at 7 p.m. On Friday, I will be coming on at 10 a.m. Friday morning, but then in the afternoon, I'll be on at 4 p.m. Friday afternoon, 4 p.m. Friday. And this Saturday, because Vincent Davis has a podcast, I'll come on at 8 o'clock on Saturday like I do on Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday are 8 o'clock. Saturday, Sundays are 8 o'clock. So I want to tell you, God bless y'all. Thank you so much for everything you do with taking care of your children. Don't lose them. Fight them hard. Fight them so hard. I want to thank our person tonight. Her name was Layla Adams. She was talking about the India ICWA, and I want to thank her, and I want to thank everybody else that's left some things. God bless you, and good night. This is Bob Pace that will be signing off, but listen to a quick message from my attorney, Vincent Davis.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.